And another trump card has been revealed with Asta, not only Zerx and Mimoso going against all these opponents, but we get to see a little bit more backstory about why exactly Zerx is the way he is. And unleashing that, I'm not gonna lie, that incarnation of fury reflecting everything in that radius and all that was goddamn sick. So let's talk about it, because Zerx and all that, as far as we know, has been getting pretty popular as of recently. So we was learning a little bit more about like the form that like Asta's finally learned. Like we actually, even though I've been calling it the demon mode now, like apparently how it's being referred to in the series and all that, which to be fair, it makes sense why it's called that, but it's pretty lame. They're just calling the anti-magic state like this, and we're finding out a lot more of the difficulties like around it, where he can only use it twice a day so far. This is like so far how much of it he's actually mastered during his time, which is to be fair, it's been a very short amount of time since he's had this transformation, but we see that like one of the main problems with this, as he's already used it in one of the competitions already, like you have the issue of that all the pain and muscles in his like body are just going everywhere. Like it affects his muscles, it affects his bones, and just the pain is that extreme. That's how like little he can use at the moment. And like so far the time limit hasn't been really described, but it seems like if he uses it like for, I'd say around about probably 5 minutes or so, he could use it. That point he's just going to run out of steam and just energy, and he was like, I need to save this to Yuno, like I need to go against him with the finals on this, but I can't hesitate just to use it, because the opponent I'm against right now is someone that is in that situation where I'm going to have to pull out. So I kind of appreciate Asta's like, he knows what he needs to do, but then again, he's like, I want to go at like, you know, like the person who I consider my rival at full time, but I need to teach this asshole a lesson after what he did to Finral. And like, even when we saw with Zerx was there already having his back. Like, he was like there taking front lines, he's putting like magic circles everywhere, and he's like, you know, I was like, you know, I'm counting on you, you piece of shit, and all that. I need to take care of this. And like, as he's like trying to block it, and like you can see immediately why like he has such a seething hatred for the Magic Knight so much. It's because finally, after this time, we get a little bit of his backstory. We understand why, like, why he hates them so much, and it's because his father was one. And you think, well, his dad was one. Well, like, what makes it like think he was part of it? Like, where it was like he was an actual genuine guy. He was the first ever commoner to actually get a position in the Magic Knights. Like, that's kind of the big deal for him, where it's like this guy had so much potential, and we even see how like his father was like a real big screw up at the start as well, where it's like this could be a somewhat of use. And I believe he joined like the exactly what Zerx is in right now as his alias. He's using like the Orca Knights, I believe, like from what we see, and we do get to see his real name is Zora. Like, from what we see of this, like, he is able to finally be in the situation where it's like, yeah, I'm finally here, I'm making something of myself, like, I can prove, you know, that we can all be, you know, like, to defend the peace of the country and all that. And it's like, he was saying that, like, this, because of this attitude, because everything that, like, his father tried for, he was his pride. Like, he absolutely adored when he, like, saw his father come out of, like, a battlefield, and he's, like completely beaten up, and he's like, you know, this power, I can use it to protect people and all that. That's what it means to be a Magic Knight, and this is why he respects them so much. And one day, he actually got killed because of this, and turns out it was the Violet Orcas that were the cause of this, because these were the pieces of shit that were like, oh, like, he just had an accident in the like battlefields. Totally wasn't our fault. It's like, these assholes just sew up their own asses, where it's just like, you know, you are beaten by your comrades from behind, and it's just like, communists to associate with nobles is shameless and all that. It's like, affects our pride. It's like, you piece of fucking shit. Like you just... And this is why that made him cause to go on a warpath, like, at all. It's like, how dare you even try and don this, like, at all, like. And I will say one thing as well, like, with the similarities with this character, like, for the most part, like, one thing I will say is that he reminds me a lot of Stain from, like Academia. I will say that much and all that, where it's like, they kind of have the same agenda, where it's like, no, this is how Magic Knight should be, or this is how Hero should be. And I will say with one thing on there, because I will say Stain is my favorite part of Academia, even still to this day. It's like, what the best arc in the entire fucking series, where, like, the philosophies he's dropping. Meanwhile, like, it's a slight difference with, like what we guess would see with Zerx, because Zerx hasn't got, like, isn't trying to pull this philosophy on anyone. He just, like, you fuck with, like, his pride and, like, his agenda, then that's what it's going to be. So it's different between someone that's trying to change the world and someone being a lot more selfish about his nature, where it's like, no, I'm right, they're like every piece of shit and all that, and like he's seeing like people like Asta and Yuno, or like, you know, Light, where it's like, you are guys not like that commoners, and you shouldn't even be here because you know exactly what they're going to be doing to you. And he's seeing this example. He's seeing it with Fenrir's fucking brother. Like, his own brother attacked him, and it's like he loses it. Like, he absolutely loses it against this guy. Like, when he gets against Langus, he just starts screaming at him. And, like, even as well, before he even got to the tournament, the whole thing that caused him to go nuts was because the guy that he attacked, one of those Violet Orca guys, like, he was, like, a little lady was just asking for some help, and he was now about to actually, like, use his magic on this little chick. And it's just, like, it caused him to absolutely snap. It's, like, and he even used this to his own advantage. It's like by like tempting and like taunting like Langris by saying, you're not a magic knight, you're a fake piece of shit. And what this was able to cause him to hit him, and you're thinking, oh god, what happened? You know, Zerk's getting hit by that attack, but no, he's actually put all of these spell circles all around his body. Like, they're all around, like, his face, his chest, like, all around. And, like, one interesting thing that was brought up because of this nature was, like, this is the first time we've really kind of seen someone, unlike like enhanced magic, like what we saw with like Vito. This is the first time we've seen someone donning the actual magic on their body, and saying, like, being able to constantly like be attacking him with his own magic power and all that. That is going to be a huge risk, because it could entail, you know, like, you know, hurting your own body because of this, and you don't have proper training. This can screw you up. So it's like, and that's why I was worried when I recently talked about many chapters ago, where it's like, we found out that he just had trap magic, and it's like, no, Xerx is using different ways of using trap magic. Not only is he using just normal traps, he's using like ones that they can place in the sky, in the ground, like on like ceilings and stuff. I really like the fact that he can also don them on himself. And he's like, the whole thing of him losing his like complete mind by just screaming and like blasting all of these like reflections at each other. This is going to be a slight problem now, where it's like, I'm thinking that maybe Xerx like release these and they're going to attack everyone from what we see. And, you know, Langris has to be careful, because these things are going to take care, like, are going to take some people out if they aren't too careful. So I think like this is going to be the perfect time, like, for Langris. He's going to be forced to be on the defense, and this is going to give Asta enough time to actually come in with the anti-magic sword and take this out. Overall, it was a pretty good chapter and all that, and I definitely saying all that when I'm looking at it, like, when I was seeing Xerx in this chapter, it did kind of remind me that he's on a warpath, kind of like how it is and all that with Stain. And while I personally still think Stain's a way better character than Xerx and all that, I can see like the differences in the two of the characters, like their whole agendas. While Xerx is just a lot more selfish than what Stain in his own is wrong in his own kind of way, like where it's like you're killing people and all that, like to try and prove a point. And he's saying the only person that deserves and all that to actually end my life is All Might. But you can see the difference, whereas like Stain has had time to think about that, and he's like, I'm going to think about my philosophy and put it to good. And when he's even making like the number 1 and 2 heroes like shake because of this stuff and how intimidating it is, and you're seeing Xerx, who's just like, in the end of the day, like, not even to like as this as a disgrace, he is a child. Like, he is a child for the most part. He is a young adult that is pretty much causing his anger like throughout the world, and just isn't thinking like it's straight and minded. And like Stain is, and that's the more terrifying part. Like, he's thinking about like all of this straight and more like tactical and careful, that he has just wanted a shit on all Magic Knights and what they like stand for. So overall, pretty goddamn solid chapter and all that. So what do you guys think? I'll see you guys though next time.